Customers don't want to be locked in, and by lock in, we simply mean have very high switching costs, right? So it's not to say that absent other alternatives, customers won't accept lock-in. Of course, they do and they will. But if rich alternatives are available that meet their needs, that don't lock them in, then it's generally recognized that those are preferable. And I can tell you that I've been involved in a number of cloud projects just in the last month or two, which had already started down a proprietary path. And when the customers learned that there was an open alternative, they stopped, then they reevaluated.
Question. Apart from the fact that I think there are more distributions and companies than there are chickens in China, talking about standardization, can you elaborate on what the Open Virtualization Alliance can mean for interoperability and the prevention of vendor lock-in?
Yeah, it's a really good point. So this organization, the Open Virtualization Alliance, has started with about 7 companies, I think. They came together, including IBM, HP, Intel, Red Hat, and a few others, SUSE, VMC. And the goal was to help foster the adoption of KVM and Red Hat's enterprise virtualization solutions as an alternative to VMware. Not to try to force companies to migrate off VMware, but to give them a viable, credible choice and to show them how to do it and reduce the risk. And in the span of 3 months after the launch, it grew from a handful of members to 215. Companies of all sizes, huge and tiny. And in part this reflects the vendor's perception of this latent demand in the enterprise for an alternative, a credible, viable alternative to VMware. And also in part, it represents concern that VMware has become the next Microsoft, where when they use ISVs to help build their position, and then when the market that the ISV is addressing becomes attractive, they, VMware, start to offer the same functionality and compete with their own ecosystem. So there's very, very strong support for an open alternative.
Right. Okay, checking back to your remarks about how cloud computing could be a very future lock-in, that's not what you mean by OVA, the Open Virtualization Alliance, that actually prevents being locked in. Does it mean that you can interchange between all those 215 suppliers?
Well, no, it doesn't, but what it means is that no one vendor can control the technology or the ecosystem in a way that allows them to control the customer's behavior, right? The key here is whether the technology is developed and controlled by one company or developed and controlled by a community.
Okay.
And that is the essential requirement. It's not the only requirement, it's the central requirement for avoiding lock-in.
Okay, thank you very much.